Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple penny, and unknowingly holding a small piece of history that could be worth far more than 1 cent. It looks ordinary, worn, and familiar, but what if that tiny copper coin had a story, and maybe even a hidden value, that most people completely overlook? Today, we're exploring the 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that millions of Americans have seen, but very few truly understand. At first glance, it's just another everyday coin. But once you dig deeper, you begin to uncover why collectors still search for it, why certain versions sell for surprising amounts, and how a single detail can make all the difference. The 1971 Lincoln penny was part of a long-running series that began in 1909, honoring President Abraham Lincoln. By 1971, this design had already been in circulation for over 60 years. The coin features Lincoln's portrait on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, and on the back, the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now here's where it gets interesting. The phrase "no mint mark" simply means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, coins made in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, unlike those from Denver, which used a D, or San Francisco, which used an S. So when you see a 1971 penny without any letter under the date, you're looking at a Philadelphia issued in 1971. The United States Mint produced over 1.9 billion pennies in Philadelphia alone. That number might make you think this coin is extremely common, and in many ways it is. But as with most coins, rarity doesn't always come from how many were made. It often comes from condition, errors, and small details that most people miss. The 1971 penny is made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. It has a rich reddish color when it's in uncirculated condition, though many of the coins you'll find today have turned brown due to oxidation over time. The front shows Lincoln's calm, thoughtful expression, while the back displays the Lincoln Memorial, complete with tiny columns that, if you look closely, even reveal a miniature statue of Lincoln inside. But what really draws collectors to this coin are the variations and potential errors. One of the most talked about is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin's design is accidentally struck twice at slightly different angles, creating a subtle doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. On some 1971 pennies, you might notice doubling in the word Liberty or the date itself. These error coins are not easy to spot, and that's part of what makes them exciting. To the untrained eye, they look perfectly normal. But to a collector, that tiny imperfection can turn an ordinary penny into something special. Another detail to watch for is the condition of the coin. Collectors often use terms like red, red-brown, and brown to describe the surface. A fully red 1971 penny, especially one that has never been circulated, can be worth significantly more than one that has been used in everyday transactions. Why? Because preserving that original copper color over decades is incredibly rare. Now let's talk about value, because this is where curiosity really starts to grow. Most 1971 no-mint mark pennies in circulated condition are worth just a few cents. But in uncirculated condition, especially those graded at higher levels like MS65 or above, the value can rise to $10, $20, or even more. And if you happen to find one with a strong double die error, the price can jump dramatically. Some examples have sold for over $100, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. There have even been auction listings where pristine examples with unique characteristics reached several $100s. That it's not about every coin being valuable. It's about the possibility that one might be. So how do you tell if your 1971 penny is worth more than face value? First, check for the absence of a mint mark under the date. That confirms it's from Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin closely under good lighting. Look at the date, the word Liberty, and In God We Trust. If you see any signs of doubling, even slight, it could be worth a closer look. Also pay attention to the coin's color and condition. A bright, red surface with minimal scratches or wear is always more desirable. If the coin looks almost brand new, despite being over 50 years old, you might be holding something special. Weight and size can also help confirm authenticity. A genuine 1971 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams and measure 19 millimeters in diameter. If something feels off, It's always a good idea to compare it with another penny from the same era. One surprising fact about the 1971 penny is how it represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. Just a decade later, rising copper prices would force the mint to change the composition of pennies, switching to a zinc core with a thin copper coating in 1982. That means coins like the 1971 penny are part of the last generation of true copper coins, something that collectors value more with each passing year. Another interesting detail is how many of these pennies are still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, and old collections. Unlike rare gold coins or limited edition issues, the 1971 penny was something people used every day. That's what makes the hunt so exciting. You don't need a fortune to start searching. You just need curiosity and a careful eye. Collectors today love the 1971 no-mint mark penny because it combines accessibility with potential. It's a coin that almost anyone can find, yet it still holds the possibility of discovery. Whether it's a high-grade example, a subtle error, or simply a well-preserved piece of history, each coin tells its own story. There's also a sense of nostalgia tied to it. This coin circulated during a time of major change in America, from the early. What if the penny sitting quietly in your pocket right now, the one you almost never look at, could be worth far more than just 1 cent? Not because it's ancient, not because it's made of gold, but because of something most people never even notice. Today, we're talking about the 1975 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. It has the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Millions of people have handled coins just like it without thinking twice. But hidden in that simplicity is a story that collectors pay very close attention to. To understand why this coin matters, we need to go back to 1975. During that time, the United States was producing billions of pennies every year. These coins were used daily, passed from hand to hand, and rarely saved. The demand for small change was high, and the U.S. Mint worked continuously to keep up. Most pennies made in 1975 came from different mint locations. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while other facilities like Denver added a small D to indicate where the coin was made. So when you see a 1975 penny with no mint mark, it simply means it was struck in Philadelphia. That alone doesn't make it rare, but it does set the stage for something more interesting. The 1975 Lincoln penny is made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. It has a smooth edge and weighs around 3.11 grams. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right, along with the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1975. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, with United States of America and 1 cent clearly displayed. As so far, nothing unusual. But collectors don't just look at coins. They study them. And that's where things begin to get interesting. While most 1975 no-mint mark pennies are very common, certain versions of this coin can stand out due to condition, striking quality, and small but important errors. These differences can turn a 1-cent coin into something much more valuable. One of the key factors is condition. A coin that has been used in everyday circulation often shows wear. The details become softer, the shine fades, and small scratches appear. But if a 1975 penny has never been used or was preserved carefully, it can still have its original luster. These are called uncirculated coins, and they are far more desirable. Collectors use a grading system to evaluate condition. The higher the grade, the better the coin looks. A 1975 no-mint mark penny in average condition might only be worth a few cents. But in top condition, especially with a bright, original finish, the value can increase significantly. Then there are error coins. These are coins that were made with small mistakes during the minting process. In 1975, like any other year, the high speed of production sometimes led to imperfections. Some examples include off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly aligned on the coin. Others include double strikes, where the coin was struck more than once, creating a slightly blurred or duplicated image. There can also be die cracks or filled dies, which create unusual lines or missing details on the coin surface. These errors might look like flaws to most people, but to collectors, they are unique fingerprints. No two error coins are exactly the same, and that uniqueness can make them valuable. Now let's talk about real value. Most 1975 no-mint mark pennies are not rare. Billions were made, and many still exist today. In circulated condition, they usually sell for just a few cents, sometimes up to 10 or 20 cents depending on appearance. But when you move into higher grades, things begin to change. A well-preserved, uncirculated coin can sell for a few dollars. And if the coin is graded at the highest levels with nearly perfect surfaces and strong details, it can reach even higher prices. There have been examples of 1975 pennies in top condition selling for tens or even over $100 in collector markets. Error coins can go even further. Depending on the type and visibility of the error, some have sold for hundreds of dollars. That's a huge difference for something that started as a 1-cent coin. So how can you tell if you have one worth keeping? First, look at the date and mint mark. If there is no mint mark under the date, that means it was made in Philadelphia. That's normal for 1975, so don't expect instant value just from that. Next, examine the condition. Does the coin still shine? Are the details on Lincoln's face sharp? Can you clearly see the Lincoln Memorial on the back? The better it looks, the more potential it has. Then, check for anything unusual. Look closely for doubling in the letters or numbers, misalignment, or strange marks that don't look like damage. True mint errors usually have a consistent pattern and are part of the coin itself, not something that happened after it left the mint. It's also important to be careful about cleaning coins. Many people think cleaning will increase value, but it often does the opposite. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce a coin's worth significantly. Collectors prefer coins in their original, untouched state. If you believe you have a high-quality or unusual 1975 penny, you can consider having it professionally graded. Grading services examine the coin, assign it a condition score, and seal it in a protective case. This can help confirm authenticity and increase buyer confidence if you ever decide to sell. There are also some fun and surprising details about this coin. For example, even though it's called a copper penny, the value of the metal inside has changed over time. There have been moments in history when the copper content alone was worth more than 1 cent, which led to discussions about changing the composition of pennies in later years. Another interesting fact is how many of these coins are still out there. Because they were so common, people didn't save them the way they did with older coins. That means high-quality examples are actually harder to find today than you might expect. Collectors love the 1975 no-mint mark penny not because it's extremely rare, but because it represents an era of everyday American life. It's a piece of history that millions of people used without thinking, and yet it still has the potential to surprise those who take a closer look. There's also a sense of discovery. Anyone can find one. You don't need to visit a museum or spend thousands of dollars. Could be in your change jar, an old drawer, or even in your wallet right now. That possibility keeps collectors searching. And that's really what makes coin collecting so fascinating. It turns ordinary objects into stories. It transforms loose change into something worth examining, understanding, and sometimes even preserving. The 1975 Lincoln penny with no mint mark may not be the rarest coin in the world, but it carries a quiet kind of importance. It reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice. So the next time you come across a penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a moment to look at it. Check the date. Notice the details, because you never know. That small, simple coin might have more to say than you ever expected. What if the next penny you find in your pocket change isn't just worth 1 cent, but could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? It sounds unbelievable, but for some collectors, that ordinary-looking coin from 1985 might be hiding a story far more valuable than its face value. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 1985 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, yet one that continues to spark curiosity in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, the 1985 D Lincoln penny looks like any other modern coin. It features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been part of American currency since 1909. On the back, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol that remained on pennies for decades. The small D mint mark just below the year tells us that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint in 1985. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies every year. The economy was growing, and there was a constant demand for small change in everyday transactions. Pennies were still widely used in stores, vending machines, and public transportation. Because of this, the 1985 penny was minted in very large numbers, with the Denver Mint alone producing over 5 billion coins that year. So, if there are billions of these coins out there, how could any of them possibly be valuable? The answer lies in the details. While most 1985 D pennies are only worth their face value, certain versions of this coin stand out because of their condition, unique features, or rare minting errors. Let's start with what makes this coin unique. By 1985, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper. Instead, they were composed of a zinc core with a thin copper coating. This change began in 1982 due to rising copper prices. The result was a lighter coin, weighing about 2.5 grams instead of the older 3.1 grams copper pennies. This difference in metal composition might not seem important at first, but it plays a big role in identifying rare variations. Occasionally, minting mistakes happen, and when they do, they can turn an ordinary penny into a highly desirable collector's item. One of the most talked about features of the 1985 D penny is the possibility of error coins. These errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice, slightly offset, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the letters or numbers. On a 1985 D penny, this might appear in the date or the word Liberty. Another type of error is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. While this might look like damage to an untrained eye, collectors recognize it as a rare and valuable mistake. There are also transitional errors to consider. Although rare, some pennies from this era have been discovered with the wrong metal composition, such as being struck on leftover copper planchets. These coins are extremely scarce and can command very high prices if authenticated. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where things get really interesting. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Most 1985 D pennies have been circulated, meaning they've been used in everyday transactions. These coins usually show wear, scratches, and discoloration, making them worth only a cent or slightly more. However, coins that have never been circulated, known as mint state coins, can be worth significantly more. These coins retain their original shine, known as luster, and have no visible wear. Professional grading services assign these coins a grade, often on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better condition. A 1985 D penny graded at MS 65 or higher can be worth several dollars, sometimes more depending on its eye appeal. But the real excitement begins at the very top of the grading scale. Coins graded MS 67 or MS 68 are extremely rare because it's difficult for coins to remain in perfect condition over time. In some cases, a high-grade 1985 D penny has sold for hundreds of dollars at auction. These are coins that have been carefully preserved, often stored in protective holders since the day they were minted. Now imagine combining a high-grade coin with a minting error. That's where values can truly skyrocket. Error coins in excellent condition are highly sought after because they are both rare and visually unique. Collectors are always searching for these hidden gems, and when one appears on the market, it can attract intense interest. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1985 D penny? First, look for the mint mark. The small D below the date confirms it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the coin closely under good lighting. Check for any unusual features such as doubling in the text, missing details, or an off-center design. Weighing the coin can also provide clues. A standard 1985 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it weighs closer to 3.1 grams, it could indicate a rare error involving the wrong metal composition. However, this alone isn't enough to confirm value, and professional authentication is always recommended for unusual finds. You should also pay attention to the coin's condition. Does it still have its original shine? Are there any scratches or signs of wear? Even small details can make a big difference in value. Another important step is comparing your coin to known examples. Many collectors use online resources or coin guides to see what similar coins have sold for. Auction records can provide real-world insights into current market values. Speaking of real sales, there have been several notable examples of 1985 D pennies achieving surprising prices. While most sell for just a few cents, high-grade examples have reached well into the hundreds of dollars. Error coins, depending on their rarity and condition, can sometimes exceed that range. These sales highlight an important truth in coin collecting. Value is not always about age. Even relatively modern coins, like the 1985 penny, can become valuable if they possess the right combination of rarity and condition. Now let's explore a few fun facts about this coin that might surprise you. Did you know that the Lincoln penny is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history? Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. By 1985, it had already been in circulation for over 75 years. Another interesting detail is how many people overlook these coins. Because pennies are so common, they are often ignored, tossed into jars, or even thrown away. This means that valuable coins can sit unnoticed for years, waiting to be discovered. There's also the psychological factor. Most people don't expect to find anything valuable in loose change, so they don't look closely. But collectors know that hidden treasures can appear in the most ordinary places. So why do collectors love the 1985 Lincoln penny today? Part of the appeal is accessibility. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s, this penny is still relatively easy to find. This makes it a great starting point for new collectors who want to learn how to identify valuable coins without spending a lot of money at the same time. It offers the thrill of the hunt. Searching through rolls of pennies or old coin jars can be exciting because you never know what you might find. The possibility of discovering a rare error or a high-grade coin keeps collectors engaged. There's also a sense of history. Even though the coin isn't extremely old, it represents a specific moment in time. It reflects the economic conditions, manufacturing processes, and design choices of the mid-1980s, and for experienced collectors, the challenge of finding a top-quality example adds another layer of interest. Achieving a complete set of high-grade Lincoln pennies is no easy task, and coins like the 1985 play an important role in that journey. As we come to the end of this story, it's worth remembering that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest and most overlooked objects can hold the greatest surprises. The 1985 Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but under the right circumstances, it can become something truly special. Whether it's a rare error, a pristine condition coin, or simply a piece of history waiting to be appreciated. This penny reminds us that there's more to everyday objects than meets the eye. So the next time you come across a handful of loose change, take a closer look. That simple copper-colored coin might just have a story to tell, and possibly a value far greater than you ever imagined. What if the next penny you find in your pocket isn't just spare change, but a small piece of hidden history that collectors quietly search for every single day? Most people overlook it, spend it, or toss it into a jar. But the truth is, one ordinary-looking coin from 2001 could be far more interesting than you ever imagined. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it may seem like nothing special. It's small, copper-colored, and incredibly common in everyday circulation. But as you'll soon discover, even a coin like this can carry subtle details, surprising variations, and a story that connects directly to over a century of American history. The 2001 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This design was a major shift in American coinage, as it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. Before that, coins typically featured symbolic figures like Lady Liberty. By 2001, the Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for over 90 years. The design on the front, known as the obverse, still featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the back, or reverse, you would see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now, when we say no mint mark, many people assume that something is missing or that the coin is rare by default. But in reality, a missing mint mark on a 2001 penny is completely normal. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally do not carry a mint mark, especially for pennies during that time period. So, a 2001 penny without a mint mark simply means it was made in Philadelphia. Even though it's considered normal, this detail still matters to collectors. Why? because it helps identify where the coin was produced, and in some cases, it can help narrow down specific variations or errors that may increase the coin's value. The 2001 Lincoln penny is made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper coating. This composition has been standard since 1982, when rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to switch from mostly copper coins to a more affordable metal mix. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has a smooth edge, making it easy to recognize. But here's where things get interesting. While most 2001 no-mint mark pennies are extremely common, there are certain features and errors that can make some of them stand out. And these are the coins that collectors pay attention to. One of the most talked about possibilities is the presence of mint errors. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, or even coins where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. These errors are not common, but they do exist, and when they are found, they can turn an ordinary penny into something much more valuable. Another detail collectors look for is the coin's condition. This might sound simple, but condition plays a huge role in value. A 2001 penny that has been heavily circulated, scratched, or worn down is typically worth only its face value. But a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition with sharp details and original luster can be worth significantly more. In fact, some high-grade examples of the 2001 no-mint mark penny have sold for several dollars, and in rare cases even higher when certified by professional grading services. While that may not sound like life-changing money, it's still impressive for a coin that most people would ignore. There have also been reports of specific error coins from 2001 selling for much higher amounts, depending on the rarity and uniqueness of the mistake. For example, a well-defined double die error could attract serious attention from collectors, potentially pushing the value into the tens or even hundreds of dollars. Of course, not every 2001 penny will have these features. In fact, most won't. But that's part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's like a treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. The challenge is knowing what to look for and recognizing when you found something special. So how can you tell if your 2001 no-mint mark penny is worth more than 1 cent? Start by examining the coin closely. Look at the details of Lincoln's face. Are they sharp and clear, or worn down and smooth? Check the lettering. Is it crisp and well-defined, or faded and uneven? Next, pay attention to any unusual features. Do you see doubling in the letters or numbers? Is the design slightly off-center? Does the coin have any strange marks that don't look like normal wear? These could be signs of a mint error. It's also important to avoid confusing damage with genuine errors. Scratches, dents, and corrosion can happen after the coin leaves the mint, and these usually do not add value. True mint errors occur during the production process and often have a distinct, consistent appearance. If you believe you've found something unusual, you might consider having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. These organizations can authenticate the coin, assess its condition, and assign it a grade that helps determine its market value. Here's something many people don't realize. Even though the 2001 penny is relatively modern, it still represents a specific moment in time. It was minted at the start of a new millennium, during a period of technological growth and economic change in the United States. Coins like this quietly pass through countless hands, witnessing everyday life without anyone paying much attention. Another interesting detail is that billions of pennies were produced in 2001, making it one of the more common dates in the Lincoln series. But within those billions, there are always small variations. Slight differences in striking pressure, die wear, or alignment can create subtle changes that only careful observers will notice. Collectors love this kind of challenge. It's not just about finding a rare coin. It's about understanding the story behind it, appreciating the craftsmanship, and recognizing the small details that make each piece unique. There's also a certain nostalgia attached to the Lincoln penny. For many people, it's one of the first coins they ever held. It's often associated with childhood memories, piggy banks, and the simple act of saving. That emotional connection adds another layer of value that goes beyond money. Over time, interest in Lincoln pennies has continued to grow. What if the penny sitting quietly in your pocket right now isn't just spare change, but a hidden piece of American history that could be worth far more than 1 cent? Today, we're uncovering the story of a coin that millions have seen, but very few truly understand. The 1995 Lincoln penny, at first glance. The 1995 D Lincoln penny looks completely ordinary. It's small, copper-colored, and easy to overlook. But behind its simple appearance lies a fascinating story of American minting, subtle variations, and collector interest that continues to grow even today. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why you'll find the small D mint mark just below the year on the front side. The 1995 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln. This series was groundbreaking because it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular U.S. coin. By 1995, the Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for over 85 years, becoming one of the most recognized coins in American history. Now let's step back to the mid-1990s. The United States economy was stable, inflation was relatively low, and the demand for coin production remained high. In 1995 alone, billions of pennies were minted across different facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver Mint produced over 7 billion Lincoln cents that year, making the 1995 D penny very common in terms of total numbers. But here's where things start to get interesting. Even though billions were made, not all coins are created equal. The 1995 D Lincoln penny is composed of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This composition was introduced in 1982 to reduce production costs, replacing the older solid copper pennies. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. On the front, you'll see Lincoln's profile, facing right, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1995. Just beneath the year is the small D mint mark. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 until 2008. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue inside the memorial building, a detail that many people missed out on. So if billions of these coins exist, why are collectors still interested in the 1995 D penny? The answer lies in condition, errors, and subtle variations. Most 1995 D pennies you find in circulation are heavily worn, scratched, or faded. These coins are usually worth only their face value. But when a 1995 D penny is found in near-perfect condition, especially in what collectors call mint state, its value can increase significantly. Coins that have never been circulated and still retain their original shine, known as luster, are much harder to find. But the real excitement comes from mint errors and unusual varieties. One of the most talked about variations from 1995 is the double die error. While this error is more famous in the Philadelphia version of the coin, collectors still carefully examine Denver minted pennies for similar doubling effects. A double die occurs when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice in slightly different positions, creating a noticeable doubling effect on letters or numbers. Even though major double die errors are rare for the 1995 D penny, minor doubling and machine doubling can still appear, making certain coins more desirable to collectors who enjoy searching for unique details. Another interesting feature collectors look for is off-center strikes. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being cut off. Depending on how dramatic the error is, these coins can be worth far more than 1 cent. There are also coins with die cracks, where small lines appear on the surface due to cracks in the minting die. While these might seem like imperfections, they can actually add character and value to a coin in the eyes of collectors. Now let's talk about real-world value. The typical circulated 1995 D Lincoln penny is still worth just 1 cent. But in uncirculated condition, these coins can sell for anywhere between a few cents to a few dollars, depending on their quality. Coins graded at higher levels, such as MS-65 or above, can reach prices between $10 to $20 or more. In some cases, exceptionally well-preserved examples with strong strike quality and full original luster have sold for even higher amounts at auctions. While these are not million-dollar coins, they still represent a significant increase over face value and prove that even modern coins can hold hidden potential. So how can you tell if your 1995 D penny is worth more than just a cent? Start by checking the condition. Look for coins that are bright, clean, and free from heavy scratches. Pay attention to the details in Lincoln's hair and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The sharper the details, the better the condition. Next, examine the coin closely for any unusual features. Look at the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice any doubling or distortion, it could be worth investigating further. A magnifying glass or a simple coin loop can help you see these details more clearly. Also, check the alignment of the design. If part of the coin appears cut off or shifted, you might have an off-center strike. And don't forget to look for small cracks or lines that could indicate a die error. Another important factor is authenticity. While the 1995 D penny is not commonly counterfeited due to its low value, altered coins do exist. Some people try to modify coins to make them appear like rare error varieties. Always compare your coin with verified examples and, if necessary, consult a professional grading service. Now here's something surprising. Many collectors began their journey not with rare gold coins or ancient artifacts, but with simple pocket change. The 1995 D Lincoln penny represents that exact starting point. It's accessible, easy to find, and full of learning opportunities. For many people, this coin is the first step into the world of coin collecting. There's also a nostalgic element. Coins from the 1990s remind people of a different time, before digital payments took over daily life. Holding a 1995 penny can bring back memories of childhood, school lunches, or counting change at a store. That emotional connection adds another layer of value that goes beyond money. Collectors today appreciate the 1995 D penny not because it's the rarest coin, but because it represents the idea that value can be hidden in plain sight. Teaches patience, attention to detail, and the thrill of discovery. And here's the most important part. Every coin has a story. Even a simple penny like this one has traveled through countless hands, witnessed years of history, and survived decades of circulation. Somewhere out there, a 1995 D penny might still be waiting to be discovered in perfect condition, or hiding a small error that makes it unique. So the next time you receive change, take a closer look before you spend it. That small, ordinary coin might carry more than just 1 cent of value. It might carry a piece of history, a collector's dream, or even the beginning of your own journey into the world of rare coins. Because sometimes, the most overlooked things turn out to be the most fascinating of all. What if the penny sitting quietly in your pocket right now isn't just spare change, but a small piece of history that collectors are still chasing? A coin so common on the surface, yet hiding details that could make it far more interesting than you ever imagined. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 2005 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that millions of people have seen, but very few have truly understood. At first glance, the 2005 Lincoln penny looks like any other modern 1-cent coin. It carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been part of American currency for generations. But what makes this particular penny worth talking about is not just its design, but the story behind it, the details in its production, and the subtle variations that collectors pay attention to. The term no mint mark often creates confusion. Many people assume that a coin without a mint mark is rare or special by default. But in reality, for the 2005 Lincoln penny, the absence of a mint mark simply means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike some other mints in the United States, Philadelphia traditionally did not include a mint mark on pennies for many years. So when you see a 2005 penny without any letter under the date, you're actually holding a coin that was struck in one of the oldest and most historic mint facilities in the country. To understand this coin better, we need to go back to 2005. This was a time when the United States Mint was still producing billions of pennies each year. The Lincoln cent design, first introduced in 1909, had already become one of the most recognizable coins in the world. By 2005, the reverse of the coin still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been used since 1959. It would remain in use until 2008, just a few years after this coin was made. The 2005 penny was part of a massive production effort. Billions were minted across different facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Because of this high production number, most 2005 pennies are still very common today. You can find them in circulation, coin jars, and even forgotten in drawers. But as with many coins, the real story begins when you look closer. The front of the coin, known as the obverse, shows Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head is the word liberty, and to the right is the phrase "In God we trust." The year 2005 appears just below, marking the coin's place in history. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands in the center, with United States of America above it and 1 cent below. If you look closely enough, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail that many people overlook. But what about the material? The 2005 Lincoln penny is not made entirely of copper, as older pennies once were. Instead, it consists of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. This change was introduced in 1982 as a cost-saving measure. While the coin still looks like copper, its actual composition is mostly zinc. This makes it lighter than older pennies and slightly more prone to wear and damage over time. Now here's where things start to get interesting. Even though most 2005 no-mint mark pennies are common, certain versions and conditions of this coin can be far more valuable. Collectors pay close attention to errors and high-grade examples. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance can become something special if it has a unique flaw or is preserved in near-perfect condition. Some 2005 pennies have been found with die errors. These can include doubling in the lettering, where the text appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. Others may show off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned on the coin. There are also cases of die cracks or unusual surface marks that occurred during production. While these errors are not extremely common, they are enough to catch the attention of collectors who are always searching for something different. Condition plays a huge role in value. A 2005 penny that has been heavily circulated is usually worth just 1 cent. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, meaning it has little to no wear and still retains its original shine, its value can increase. Collectors often look for coins graded at the highest levels, where even the smallest imperfections matter. There have been instances where high-grade 2005 Lincoln pennies without a mint mark have sold for several dollars, sometimes even more depending on the grading and eye appeal. While this might not sound like a fortune, it's important to remember that we're talking about a coin that most people would ignore. Turning a 1-cent coin into something worth significantly more is exactly what makes coin collecting so fascinating. In rare cases, error coins from this year have reached even higher prices. A noticeable doubling or a strong off-center strike can push the value much higher, especially if the error is dramatic and clearly visible. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that stand out, and the 2005 penny is no exception. If you're wondering how to tell whether your 2005 penny is something special, there are a few simple things you can look for. First, check the area under the date. If there is no letter, then it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the coin closely under good lighting. Look for any unusual features in the lettering, the numbers, or the design itself. Doubling, misalignment, or anything that seems out of the ordinary could be worth investigating further. You should also pay attention to the coin's condition. A shiny surface with minimal scratches or wear is a good sign. Coins that have been stored carefully, away from moisture and damage, tend to hold more value. If you believe you have a coin with a potential error or high grade, it may be worth having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Another important tip is to be cautious of fakes or misleading claims. While counterfeit pennies are not as common as counterfeit higher value coins, there are still altered coins in the market. Some people may try to modify a coin to make it appear as though it has an error. Always rely on trusted sources and, when in doubt, seek expert verification. Here's something many people don't realize. The no mint mark feature, which often sparks excitement, is actually the standard for Philadelphia pennies of this era. This means that the real value doesn't come from the absence of the mint mark alone, but from the combination of condition, rarity, and any unique characteristics the coin may have. There are also some fun details about the Lincoln penny that make it even more interesting. For example, the Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Before 1909, American coins typically displayed symbolic figures rather than actual individuals. The introduction of Lincoln's portrait marked a major shift in U.S. coin design, and that legacy continues with the 2005 penny. Another surprising fact is how many pennies are produced each year. Even in 2005, the total number reached into the billions. This high production volume is one reason why most pennies are not rare. But it also means that hidden among those billions could be a few unique pieces that stand out. Collectors love coins like the 2005 Lincoln penny because they represent the idea that treasure can still be found in everyday places. You don't need to dig deep into history or spend a fortune to start collecting. Sometimes all it takes is a careful look at the change you already have. There's also a sense of connection that comes with holding a coin like this. It has passed through countless hands, traveled across cities and states, and quietly witnessed everyday transactions. Yet now, it sits in your hand, waiting to be noticed. Today, the 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny remains a favorite among beginner and experienced collectors alike. It's easy to find, simple to understand, and full of small details that reward careful observation. Whether you're searching for errors, building a collection, or just satisfying your curiosity, this coin offers something for everyone. And perhaps that's the most exciting part. The next time you receive a penny and change, you might not look at it the same way again. Because hidden within that tiny piece of metal could be a story, a detail, or even a small surprise that most people would never notice. So before you toss that penny aside or forget about it in a jar, take a closer look. Because sometimes the smallest coins can carry the biggest stories, and the next one you find might just be worth more than you think. What if the penny sitting in your pocket right now, the one you almost ignored, is quietly worth far more than 1 cent? Not because it's old, not because it looks different, but because of something it doesn't have at all. Today, we're talking about the 2015 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. It's small, copper-colored, and easy to overlook. Millions of people have handled this exact coin without giving it a second thought. But for collectors, this simple detail, the absence of a mint mark, can turn an everyday coin into something worth a closer look. The 2015 Lincoln penny is part of a long-running series that dates back to 1909. That was the year the Lincoln cent was first introduced, becoming the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 2015, this coin had already been in circulation for over a century, making it one of the most recognized coins in American history. The 2015 version continues the modern design that began in 2010. On the front, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, calm and dignified, facing to the right. Above his head is the word liberty, and to the right is the year 2015. Below that, the phrase "In God We Trust" curves along the top edge. It's a design that hasn't changed much in decades, and that's part of what makes it so easy to overlook. On the back of the coin, you'll find the Union Shield design. This was introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's role in preserving the United States during the Civil War. The shield represents strength and unity, with a banner stretched across it reading, 1 cent. Above the shield is United States of America, and below it, E pluribus unum. Now here's where things get interesting. Some 2015 pennies have a small letter just below the year on the front. You might see a D, which means it was minted in Denver. But if there is no letter at all, that means the coin was minted in Philadelphia. And unlike many other coins, Philadelphia minted pennies traditionally do not carry a mint mark. So technically, a 2015 penny with no mint mark isn't an error. It's actually normal. But that doesn't mean all of them are common or worthless. In fact, certain conditions and rare variations can make some of these coins surprisingly valuable. Let's talk about what gives this coin its potential value. First, condition matters more than anything. Most 2015 pennies were heavily circulated. They passed through thousands of hands, got scratched, worn down, and lost their original shine. But a small number were preserved in near-perfect condition. These are called uncirculated coins, and they can be worth significantly more than face value. A 2015 no mint mark penny in average circulated condition is still worth just 1 cent. But in uncirculated condition, especially with a high grade like MS67 or higher, the value can jump dramatically. Some examples have sold for anywhere between $10 to over $100, depending on their quality and eye appeal. Now let's go deeper. There are also error coins to consider. Errors happen during the minting process, and they can make a coin far more valuable than normal. For the 2015 no mint mark penny, collectors have discovered several types of errors. These include double die errors, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the striking process. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the coin, and even die cracks or cuts, where parts of the die break and create raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface. One particularly interesting category is the broad strike error. This happens when the coin is struck without the collar that normally keeps it in shape, causing it to spread out wider than usual. These kinds of coins can attract serious attention from collectors. Depending on the rarity and visibility of the error, these coins can sell for anywhere from $20 to several $100s. In rare cases, especially if the error is dramatic and the coin is in excellent condition, the price can go even higher. So how do you know if you have one of these valuable coins? Start by checking the date. Make sure it clearly says 2015. Then look just below the date. If there is no letter, you have a Philadelphia minted coin. That's your starting point. Next, examine the coin closely. Look for anything unusual. Are the letters sharp and clear, or do they look doubled? Is the design perfectly centered, or does it seem off? Are there any cracks, raised lines, or strange shapes on the surface? Lighting is important here. Tilt the coin under a bright light and look carefully at every detail. Sometimes errors are subtle and easy to miss. Also, pay attention to the coin's color and shine. A bright, original red color usually means the coin has been well preserved. These red coins are often more valuable than those that have turned brown over time. If you think you've found something special, consider having it graded by a professional coin grading service. These organizations evaluate the condition and authenticity of coins and assign them a grade. A higher grade can significantly increase the coin's value and make it more appealing to collectors. Now let's talk about something surprising. Even though billions of pennies are produced every year, finding a high-grade example in circulation is incredibly difficult. Most coins get worn down quickly, so when a nearly perfect 2015 penny shows up, it stands out. Here's a fun fact. Many collectors don't search for rare coins in auctions or coin shops. They search through everyday pocket change. It's called coin roll hunting. People go to banks, get rolls of pennies, and carefully go through them one by one, looking for hidden treasures. And yes, valuable 2015 pennies have been found this way. Another interesting detail is the composition of the coin. The 2015 penny is made mostly of zinc, with a thin copper coating. This has been the standard since 1982. It means the coin is lightweight and less expensive to produce, but it also means it can wear down more easily. That's one reason why high-grade examples are harder to find. Collectors also love the story behind modern coins like this. It's not just about age anymore. It's about condition, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. A coin doesn't have to be 100 years old to be valuable. Sometimes all it takes is the right combination of factors. The 2015 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents that idea perfectly. It's a reminder that even in a world of mass production, small details still matter. A tiny variation, an unnoticed error, or an unusually well-preserved coin can turn something ordinary into something worth collecting. And there's something exciting about that. It means the next valuable coin isn't locked away in a museum. Could be in your wallet, your jar of spare change, or even sitting unnoticed on your desk right now. Collectors are drawn to coins like this because they combine history, mystery, and possibility. Each coin has a story, where it's been, who has held it, and how it survived in such condition all add to its appeal. So the next time you see a 2015 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Turn it over in your hand. Study the details, because hidden within that small piece of metal could be something far more valuable than you ever expected. And here's the real question. If something as ordinary as a penny can hold this kind of potential, what else might you be overlooking every single day? Imagine pulling a simple penny from your pocket, a coin you've probably ignored hundreds of times, only to discover that it might be far more interesting, and in some cases far more valuable than you ever expected. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 2021 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a modern coin that many people overlook, but one that holds surprising stories, hidden details, and collector appeal that continues to grow. The 2021 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, one of the most recognized coins in American history. The D Mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major facilities responsible for producing coins for circulation in the United States. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny you might receive as change. But as with many coins, the real story begins when you look a little closer. To understand this coin, we need to go back over a century. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Over the years, the design has evolved, but the purpose has remained the same: to serve as everyday currency while also reflecting American history. By 2021, the penny had already gone through several design changes on the reverse side, with the current version featuring the Union Shield, a symbol of strength and unity. The year 2021 is particularly interesting in modern coin history. It came during a time when the world was still dealing with the effects of a global pandemic. Coin production, circulation patterns, and even how people used physical money were all shifting. While the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins, including pennies, fewer people were using cash in daily transactions. This created an unusual situation where some coins, including the 2021 D penny, didn't circulate as widely as coins from earlier decades. Now let's talk about the coin itself. The 2021 D Lincoln penny is made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating. This composition has been standard since 1982, when rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to change the metal content of the penny. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has a smooth edge. On the front or obverse, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, along with the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 2021. Just below the date is the small but important D mint mark. On the reverse side, the Union Shield design stands out. It features a shield with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies, and a banner across the top symbolizing unity. The words 1 cent and United States of America are clearly displayed. While the design may seem simple, it carries a deep meaning tied to the nation's history. So what makes the 2021 D penny special? After all, millions of these coins were produced. The answer lies in the details, especially when it comes to condition and errors. In coin collecting, not all coins are equal. A penny that has been heavily used and scratched is very different from one that is in near-perfect condition. Coins graded as mint state, meaning they show no signs of wear, can be worth significantly more than their face value. Even more interesting are error coins. These are coins that were struck incorrectly during the minting process. While the 2021 D penny is a modern coin, there have already been reports of minor errors, such as die cracks, off-center strikes, and double details. These errors are not common, and when they do appear, they can attract serious attention from collectors. For example, a 2021 D penny with a noticeable doubling in the lettering or date could sell for far more than 1 cent. In some cases, error coins from recent years have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on the severity of the mistake and the coin's condition. While not every 2021 D penny will have such an error, the possibility is enough to make collectors take a second look. There have also been instances where high-grade 2021 D pennies, graded by professional services, have reached impressive values. A coin graded at the very top of the scale, such as MS-67 or higher, can sell for a premium because so few coins achieve that level of perfection. Collectors are always searching for the best examples, and even a modern penny can become valuable if it meets those standards. But how can you tell if you have a valuable 2021 D penny? The first step is to examine the coin carefully. Look at the surface under good lighting. Are there any unusual marks, doubling, or misalignments? Check the edges and the details in Lincoln's portrait. A magnifying glass can be very helpful here. If something looks different or unusual, it might be worth investigating further. Next, consider the condition. Coins that have been stored carefully without scratches or discoloration are more likely to be valuable. If your penny still has its original shine, often called luster, that's a good sign. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this can actually reduce its value. Collectors prefer coins in their natural state. To verify authenticity, it's important to know that fake pennies are rare, especially for modern coins like the 2021 D. However, altered coins do exist. Some people may try to modify a coin to make it look like it has an error. This is why, for potentially valuable coins, professional grading services can be a wise choice. They can confirm whether a coin is genuine and assign it a grade that reflects its condition. Here's a surprising fact. Even though pennies are often seen as the least valuable coins in circulation, They are among the most widely collected. The Lincoln Penny series has millions of collectors around the world. This means that even small variations, like a specific mint mark or a minor error, can become highly desirable. Another interesting detail is that the cost to produce a penny is actually higher than its face value. For years, it has cost more than 1 cent to make each coin. This has led to ongoing debates about whether the penny should continue to be produced. As a result, modern pennies like the 2021D could one day become more significant simply because of their place in history. Collectors also appreciate the 2021D penny because it represents a specific moment in time. Coins are like snapshots of history. They reflect the economic conditions, technological capabilities, and cultural values of the era in which they were made. Owning a coin from 2021 is like holding a small piece of that story. There's also the thrill of the hunt. Many collectors enjoy searching through rolls of pennies from banks or checking their spare change, hoping to find something unusual. The idea that a valuable coin could be hiding in plain sight is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. And with modern coins like the 2021D penny, that excitement is still very much alive. Over time, as more of these coins are lost, damaged, or removed from circulation, high-quality examples may become harder to find. This could increase their value in the future. While it's unlikely that a regular 2021D penny will make someone instantly wealthy, the potential for rare errors and top-grade specimens keeps collectors interested in the end. The 2021D Mint Mark Lincoln Penny is a reminder that even the smallest and most ordinary objects can have hidden depth and meaning. It may only be worth 1 cent in everyday transactions, but in the world of collecting, its true value can be much higher, so the next time you come across a penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the date, the mint mark, and the details, because sometimes the most unexpected treasures are the ones we've been holding all along without even realizing it.